When you're stitching and your thread breaks, there are various causes for thread breaks. It's really hard for me to come in and duplicate the error that you're getting, so that's why I'm doing this troubleshooting video. Yeah, thread breaks are very unique to the thread that you're using, what material you're using, so we're going to go over a couple of different reasons you might be getting thread breaks. First of all, double check that your needle is in correctly. Over here. When you put the needle in, make sure it's seated all the way in, and you have to see straight through front to back. If that needle is turned a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, you will get skip stitches and you will get thread breaks. So that's your first thing you're going to check, is check to make sure your needle is absolutely straight. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to check your bobbin thread. Very often when your top thread is breaking, if you're getting top thread breaks, that doesn't mean there's something necessarily wrong with the top thread. You're going to come over here, you're going to pull your bobbin case out and make sure that you have got the bobbin in correctly. You really want to make sure that it is turning clockwise. And you want to make sure that it is seated properly into the machine. If it's not seated properly, or if it's spinning the wrong way, or if it's bound up on the inside, your top thread is going to break, not your bobbin thread. So often, top thread, you check your bobbin. Okay, that's a huge rule of thumb with long arm quilting. Okay. The next thing you're going to look for is check your thread type. Have on here on our rental machine the threads that we would like you to use. We would like you to use King Tut, Glide, YLI, it's not Allure, it's Affinity, Rainbows, or Signature threads. Okay, those threads are threads I know work on this machine. If you are using a thread other than one of those, then you're going to end up with thread problems. This machine runs at a really tight tension. We don't like you to mess with the top tension, because then I have to come in and reset the tension on the machine, and I get crabby about that. So don't touch the top tension. Check your thread. If you're using something like Metler or Masterpiece or anything from Joann's, you will have problems with your thread. You will get repeated thread breaks. You will be very unhappy. So do stick with a good quality long arming thread, specifically for long arm, and for this machine, stick to this list of threads. Alright, the next one we have is, I talked about this in my last video, a burr on the needle. It's a real simple little thing. If you get just a little bit of a burr, or if the needle is dull, guess what? You're going to get thread breaks. So if you're getting lots of thread breaks and you've checked these other things and you're using the right thread, then go ahead, change out that needle. That solves a lot of problems. I say it in the class, I'll say it again. It's the cheapest insurance we have on long arm quilting. Change your needle. Okay, and then the last one I'm going to talk about is checking your quilt tension. Okay, if your quilt is too tight, you'll get thread breaks. There's a friction problem there. The other one that we're going to talk about, and this goes with skip stitches also, skip stitches and thread breaks, if you are using a batik material for your backing, or if you are using batik in your quilt top. Batik is famous because it's such a tight weave. It is famous for breaking threads and skipping stitches. You need to loosen the tension on that quilt. The other trick you can do is spritz it with water. The water helps loosen the threads, and the needle punches easier, fewer thread breaks. So check what type of quilt you're doing. Skip stitches, thread breaks. If you're using batik, you have to treat it a little bit differently than your standard cotton.